Right, welcome year 3. In this video, we're going to be looking at lesson 2 of your learning packs. And in this lesson, we're going to be, of course, looking at your own adaptation of Deep in the Rainforest. Now, for this adaptation, you're going to be thinking about your different senses. So seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, and tasting. Now, in this video, I am going to choose one image, which is the one I've chosen to use for my own adaptation. And for that image, I'm going to talk about what I can see, hear, smell, touch, and taste. So, as you go through the video, on each slide, you will see a different sense. Now, I will talk you through that slide and we'll talk about some of the adjectives we can see on the screen and we'll speak about how we could perhaps describe that image. Once you've done that, I will put on the screen a pause. Now, when it says pause, of course, you can pause the video. At that point, have a think about how you can use those adjectives to describe your own setting. So, I'll pause at certain points. You can write down your own parts. At the end of the video, I will see whether I can show you my own plan, which we'll then write up in our other lesson. So let's have a look. But before we have a look, let's glance over this. Now, for your planning sheet, where you're writing out your 5 senses, I would like you to write 4 bullet points for each of those senses. Now, when I say bullet points, I do not mean individual words. I'd like to see a sentence or a couple of adjectives describing that particular sense. So, remember, we need to use adjectives and expanded noun phrases in each of those parts. If you've forgotten what an expanded noun phrase is, that is on the screen there. So an expanded noun phrase is when we use a sentence or a phrase which is made up of nouns and at least one adjective. So it's when we're describing that noun using one or more adjectives, so rather at least one adjective. So for example, there we've got lots of yummy, cold are adjectives, ice cream, which is our noun. We've also got I felt the slimy, pungent slug crawl up my leg. So we're using those adjectives to describe the slug in that example. So what can we see? Now on the screen, I've got my image, I've got a range of different adjectives. So I want you to glance through those adjectives. Think about how they relate to your own setting. Now, you might have chosen a jungle as well. You might have chosen a completely different place. For mine, I've put a range of different adjectives that we can use to alternative adjectives to say the word green. So instead of just saying green, we've got olive green, pea green, emerald green. So whatever you're thinking or doing for your image, think about alternative ways of saying that same or describing that same color. Now, at this point, you can pause the video and write down your own examples. Next, we have got what can you hear? So at this point, you might want to close your eyes. Imagine you are in your own setting. Can you hear water falling? Can you hear an echo? Can you hear rustling between the bushes? A scurrying of different feet, a scuttling of hoofs on the floor, crackling of branches, crunching of the trees. Have a think. Next, what can we smell? The branches rotting beneath our feet. Is there like a sweet scent in the air from all the lovely, glorious fruits that are growing around us? Is there like a fresh smell from the leaves? Has it just been raining? And is there like a musty, humid smell in the air? Touch. So what is it that we can touch? Are there prickly bushes around us? Is there soft leaves that are brushing against our arms as we move through? Is it rough? Is it prickly? Have a think. Is the floor slippery? Is it soft? Is it squelchy as we move through it? Taste. Now, what can we taste? Have we decided to pick up the mango or some dodgy looking raspberries or berries or so on, or mushrooms? What do these things taste like? Are they creamy, juicy, lemony, malty? It's kind of perhaps got a rubbery texture. Is there rotten apple that we've for some reason decided to pick up, and is it refreshing or is it sour, spicy? Have a think. It's your choice. Lastly, what did you do? Now, this will become a lot more clearer when we are writing out our poem in the next part. Okay, so what did you do in this adventure through your time in the rainforest? Did you decide to walk in there and then, it got too scary and you ran out? Did you walk into the jungle and upon walking in there, you found a glorious temple? Or did you, like in mine, you can see that there's a lovely lake. Did you walk into the jungle and did you spring into the sea or rather into the river? Have a think about where you want your story to go, because at the end of this poem, that's when we're going to sort of lead into that thing that you did. So at the end of my poem, my character was going to run out of the forest. So think about where you want your poem to go. On the screen now, you will see my own example of the 5 cents plan. So you'll be able to see that I've used some of the adjectives which we had on the previous slides, and I've tried to put them into short sentences describing what I can see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. You'll also be able to notice that I have included some expanded noun phrases as well. If you'd like to point those out now, please feel free to do so. In the next video, we're going to look at how to turn this plan into our own written version of that poem. So, hope that was useful. Stay tuned.